It started like any other flight. Air India 171, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, cleared for takeoff with 241 people on board. But just 28 seconds after leaving the ground, both engines failed. The jet plunged, breaking apart on impact, and what investigators found inside changed everything. This wasn't a simple mechanical failure. It wasn't weather. It wasn't pilot error. Inside the cockpit, something was discovered that aviation experts are still struggling to explain. A detail so unusual, it triggered global safety alerts and shocked even Boeing engineers. So, what really happened on AI 171? What did they find inside the Dreamliner? And why is this discovery causing turbulence across the entire aviation industry? Today, we unpack one of the most mysterious aircraft incidents in modern aviation. Air India Flight 171 was a routine passenger service flying from Ahmedabad to London via Mumbai. On January 28, 2017, the aircraft in operation was a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, one of the most advanced jets in commercial service. Weather conditions were clear, crew reports were normal, and takeoff clearance was granted without delay. As the plane began its ascent, everything appeared to be under control. Passengers had no reason to expect anything unusual. But just seconds after liftoff, both engines lost power almost simultaneously. The aircraft began descending rapidly, and within less than a minute, it impacted terrain near the airport. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but the wreckage told a disturbing story. There was no warning, no radio distress call, and no signs of external interference. What had taken down a nearly brand new Dreamliner in such a sudden and catastrophic way? As the investigation began, attention turned to the cockpit and avionics systems. Initial theories suggested software malfunction or fuel contamination. But the real breakthrough came when investigators accessed the data recorders and began inspecting the flight deck. Tucked behind a panel, in a space never meant to be opened mid-flight, they found something that raised more questions than answers. It wasn't part of the standard aircraft configuration, and it wasn't supposed to be there. What they found was a small, unauthorized electronic device wired directly into the aircraft's power and sensor systems. It wasn't standard Boeing equipment. It wasn't listed in any maintenance log, and it certainly wasn't something that should have been accessible from the cockpit. The object appeared to be a third-party module, fitted crudely behind a sealed panel. At first, investigators suspected tampering. Was it sabotage, an insider threat, or a severe breach in maintenance protocols? But deeper analysis pointed to something even more troubling. This device might have been there for months, maybe years, without anyone noticing. It wasn't connected to any malicious code, but it had the capacity to interfere with signals between flight control computers. In a fly-by-wire aircraft like the 787, that's a potential disaster. Engineers from Boeing were called in immediately. Their internal review confirmed that the module did not originate from the assembly line. That left two options. Either it was installed during third-party maintenance, or it was a leftover component from unauthorized testing. In either case, it meant one thing: a failure in oversight, not just by the airline, but by everyone involved in ensuring aircraft safety. And that turned this incident from an accident into a global industry wake-up call. As news of the discovery spread, aviation authorities around the world launched their own internal audits. The idea that a commercial jet could fly with unknown hardware triggered immediate concern. Airlines were ordered to check for unauthorized modifications. Boeing issued technical bulletins urging maintenance teams to inspect critical compartments near avionics bays. The FAA and EASA began reviewing certification procedures for third-party contractors. Meanwhile, Air India came under intense scrutiny. The airline confirmed that the aircraft had undergone maintenance in multiple locations over the past 2 years, including work by subcontracted facilities. Each maintenance partner denied responsibility, and no documentation linked the device to any authorized activity. The investigation quickly expanded beyond India to include oversight bodies in Europe and North America. In parallel, cybersecurity experts joined the probe. Although the device wasn't transmitting any data, its presence suggested a dangerous blind spot. Could other aircraft be flying with similar undocumented components? Could this have been an accidental installation? Or was it part of a broader pattern? For the first time, regulators were forced to confront a scenario where the problem wasn't the jet, but the people trusted to care for it. The bigger issue wasn't just that the device existed, it was that no one noticed it. Not during inspections, not during system checks, not even through thousands of hours of operation. This raised uncomfortable questions about how modern aircraft are maintained and how much trust is placed in third-party technicians around the world. In the aviation industry, where redundancy and oversight are everything, this was a massive red flag. Boeing responded swiftly, launching an internal safety review across all 787 production and delivery processes. They also began working with airlines to improve traceability of components. While no other incidents were reported, the message was clear. The Dreamliner's complexity made it incredibly efficient, but also more vulnerable to unnoticed modifications when oversight wasn't absolute. Aviation experts began calling for stricter digital logging of every change made to an aircraft, no matter how minor. Blockchain-based maintenance records, tighter control over supplier access, the AI-171 case had done more than expose a dangerous device. It exposed a weakness in the entire chain of trust that global aviation relies on, and that shook the industry from the inside out. What made the AI-171 case even more alarming was how easily it could have gone unnoticed forever. If the engine failure hadn't occurred, the device might still be on board, silently interfering with sensor readings or backup systems. This incident forced airlines to confront a harsh reality. High-tech planes like the 787 require high-integrity maintenance. Anything less invites unpredictable consequences. Airlines around the world began reevaluating their outsourcing strategies. Contracts with third-party MROs, maintenance, repair, and overhaul providers came under tighter review. The goal was simple: make sure nothing like this can happen again. For passengers, these changes are invisible. But behind the scenes, the industry is shifting. What happened on AI-171 wasn't just a one-off scare. It was a signal that even in aviation's most advanced era, human error, oversight gaps, and digital blind spots still matter. In the months following the incident, Boeing intensified its collaboration with global regulators to tighten oversight across its aircraft programs. They issued new design guidelines to limit access to sensitive systems and added additional security layers to compartment panels on the 787. For new builds, these changes became standard, but older aircraft already in service needed retrofits, creating an urgent maintenance backlog. Some airlines even chose to temporarily ground parts of their 787 fleet for thorough inspection. While no other unauthorized devices were found, the disruption cost millions. But for most carriers, the price was worth it. Rebuilding trust with regulators, passengers, and stakeholders meant showing that safety would never be compromised again. Not for cost, not for convenience, and not because of outsourced oversight. The AI-171 investigation became a case study for the entire industry. Aviation schools began teaching it, safety briefings started citing it, and Boeing, eager to restore confidence, used the lessons from this near disaster to reinforce new protocols in its future aircraft development. The event was tragic, yes, but it also became a turning point, a reminder that progress without control can be just as dangerous as falling behind. For aviation watchdogs, the AI-171 case marked a shift in how investigations are handled. The focus is no longer just on what failed, but on what wasn't supposed to be there at all. It introduced the concept of silent interference, a risk born not from malicious intent, but from oversight breakdown. This has reshaped how audits are conducted and how certification bodies verify maintenance histories. This incident pushed aviation cybersecurity to the spotlight. Even though the device wasn't transmitting data, the potential risk forced Boeing and Airbus to tighten access and improve digital safeguards. In today's smart aviation world, safety now includes digital resilience. For airlines, that means no more cutting corners. Regulators are demanding stricter oversight, and this case proved how even a small oversight can expose major vulnerabilities. It was a wake-up call for the entire industry. If this deep dive opened your eyes, like the video and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, How should aviation evolve to stay safe in a digital world?